Hey, Kingdom family, come into the living room. I am glad that you are here with me. Thank you so much. I hope everything is going well for you. Today, for our love series, we will be speaking about a love that does not abandon you or ghost you in conflict. Now, our scripture we'll be reading today is coming out of Proverbs 17:17, and it states, "A friend loves at all times." All right, kings and queens. Now, we got some straight ghosters in the world. Pew, out of here quick. They quick to leave when it comes to some conflict or some type of, guilt or whatever they have done to you, or just not being solid enough to actually hang out with you when the times get tough, kings and queens, whatever the situation is. But one thing you're going to recognize is disagreements will destroy love. All right, if you abandon someone in a disagreement, all right, you actually just don't want to deal with the conflict that you have brought into the situation. Now we are not perfect people. We're not even close to perfect people, and there are going to be issues that actually arise. But it's the way that you actually handle it, your level of maturity of handling things during situations where it could be some conflict or whatever the case may be. All right, I want you to understand that real love, because that's all we talk about, is the real love. We don't talk about that fake shit. Real love stays present during tension. All right, it don't just ghost you, disappear, stonewall you, or try to punish you in silence when things get uncomfortable. No, real love actually comes and deals with situations head on. All right, that's what a healthy love does. Healthy love understands that there's going to be some conflict, and we don't even have to use the word conflict. There's going to be some type of something that comes up, all right, that's going to bring some discomfort. But that doesn't mean you just go and abandon the situation just because now it's some discomfort in the situation. All right, usually people want to try to abandon situations like money issues. It's like, oh well, we ran out of money, so now I just want to leave. I don't want to be here no more type stuff. And it's just like, grow the fuck up. Grow the fuck up, because when everything was up and everything was good and money was present, then everything was all good. Now we low on money, or we don't got no money. Instead of us putting our heads together, coming up with the master plan, now you ready to leave. That type of stuff, kings and queens, and you see it all the time. But real love understands that conflict is not an enemy, all right? What's the enemy of a relationship is immaturity, all right? And we gonna call this shit out, because there's so many people in relationships right now that is immature as fuck, knowing damn well they shouldn't be in no relationship. Maybe they don't know that. Maybe immature people don't know that they immature and don't need to be in a relationship. Whatever the case may be, you shouldn't be in a fucking relationship when times get tough and you don't want to actually deal with the tough times. All right, you only want to be around when everything is all good. I want you to understand, kings and queens, that love that actually disappears or ghosts someone during some tension or hard conversation that's not protecting your peace. What it's doing is it's showing that you're weak as fuck and you're avoiding responsibility in the relationship. All right, kings and queens. When you say that you really love someone, what you are doing is you are signing a contract that says, I love you regardless if things are going good or regardless if things are not going so good. All right. You are letting that person know that I'm not going to abandon you during any down times in our relationship, but I'm going to actually help you figure out what the solution should be in the situation. We're going to come up with a resolution, all right? I'm not going to retreat. I'm not going to run away. I'm not going to ghost you. I am going to have full understanding of our situation over my ego, okay? Because that's all it is when somebody ghosts you, or when somebody tries to abandon you, or when somebody tries to actually move around during conflict. It's just their ego. It's their ego saying, fuck this shit, I don't want to be a part of this now that everything is going bad, all right? And it's like any type of ego-based actions shows that you are weak. All right, you're a weak ass individual. All right, let's call it for what it is. You're a weak ass individual. So I just want you to know, if you've ever done that, that means that you are showing your weakness, kings and queens. All right, you're not strong by walking away from a fuck thing. All right, I just want you to know that. But real love will remain steady, like I said, be solution based during storms, and show that they are trustworthy. All right, even when there's conflicts, even when there's, something that we both need to be accountable for. I'm going to go back to finances. Usually in the financial situation, what people need to do when stuff is not going right in financial situations is they need to take accountability on both sides. Yes, you've been overspending. We've been spending way more than we actually earn. We were having way too much fun, and no, we did not pay these bills because we put our fun before the bills, which was very irresponsible. And so, yes, we need to take accountability for that. All right, kings and queens, that's what that actually should look like. It shouldn't look like, oh, well, the lights is turned off. I'm about to go over here and go lay up with such and such now because you need to get your shit in order. Like it's a you problem and not a us problem. That's childish and immature, kings and queens. And if you are dealing with somebody like that, you shouldn't be with that person in the first place because they not ready for no relationship. What they're looking for is convenient. They have ulterior motives. They don't fuck with you like that. And they actually shouldn't represent your relationship as a whole. Like, you shouldn't even want to be attached to anything so low level. And to be quite honest with you, kings and queens, I was with some shit like that. I was like, ugh. It was so disgusting. It was the most disgusting thing because the thing about it is, I was the person who was actually investing and doing everything I can in my financial relationship, in my marriage. I was trying everything. I was looking at resources. I was working extra hours. I was going hard in my relationship. And I was trying to make sure that I was paying my bills and paying my spouse's bills just to keep us afloat. And the whole time, this person was sitting up here watching me drown and pay everything to the point where I paid so much stuff for so long that I ended up running out of money. But never, not once, did they try to step in, come up with a solution or anything like that. They literally ghosted me once the money was gone. Even though I was paying their card notes, even though I was paying my card notes, even though I was putting in extra hours, not one time did this person try to actually help me pay for a fuck thing. Sat there and watched me spin and try to come up with things. And I did it for a while. But that was my fault. That was my fault because at any given time, I could have just recognized that the person was flawed as fuck. That they were literally trying to abandon me. Actually, not trying to abandon me. They did abandon me because I was still doing it by myself. So I had to actually put on some big draws, kings and queens, and let myself know, like, well, why the fuck are you here if I'm paying for everything? What is the purpose of you? And so that's when I made the decision to just leave. Because if I'm paying for everything, if I'm doing everything, there's no purpose of you. And so that's when I decided that day to leave. It was like I lost everything at that point. I had invested everything. And when I tell you everything, every single thing. And then the last part of that, kings and queens, was the fact that everything that I invested in this person, whether it was financial, whatever it was, any tangible thing, that person took everything that I invested into him and he sold it all and took the money and abandoned me and left. So kings and queens, I want you to understand this. It is our responsibility to take accountability, all right? You don't want a love that's going to abandon you during conflict or during financial issues or during tension. You don't want nobody like that. You want somebody that's going to be solid, somebody that's going to actually come up with solutions for situations, someone that's going to have your back, not going to sit up here and watch you drown. All right, kings and queens, this is highly important. Never, ever, ever deal with a person like that. They don't give a fuck about you, kings and queens, and that's what's real, all right? Find somebody that actually cares about you, that would never want you to be in a tough place. I love you so much. I'll talk to you soon.